There's this idea that insomnia is pretty much impossible to stop, and that's a problem that's really unique to you. And there's just, unfortunately for you, it's a unique problem that just can't be solved. And while that's understandable, it's simply not true. You can get rid of insomnia if you do two things.
James Cahoon is a former insomniac who has cured his own insomnia. He is not a doctor, nor is he a licensed practitioner of medicine. The material in this video is meant for informational purposes only. Consult your physician before making any decisions based upon this material.
So I'm starting a new video series called Insomnia Questions from the internet. And for the first video, I'm going to use one of the most common questions, which is, how do I stop insomnia? I think when it comes to this one, it's really more of a true insomniac kind of talking here. I think when people ask this question, it's the people that have the bigger issues with sleep. Because if you don't have a serious problem with insomnia, you're going to ask, like, how do I get to sleep at night? So I'm going to kind of answer from that perspective. And when it comes to more chronic insomniacs, most insomniacs have a pretty big misconception here. And the idea usually driving this is that there's this idea that insomnia is pretty much impossible to stop, and that's a problem that's really unique to you. And there's just, unfortunately for you, it's a unique problem that just can't be solved. And while that's understandable, it's simply not true. You can get rid of insomnia if you do two things. It's really simple, but deceptively so, because you've got to be able to identify what the variables are that are causing your insomnia. So that's really all there is to step one, what's causing it. And step two is like just stopping those variables from functioning. So I think the biggest problem there is identifying what the variables are, especially if it's more like physical type issues. In fact, one of the biggest things that causes insomnia is sleep apnea, which is just breathing issues at night. And that's actually very common even if you don't have snoring issues. So most people think that's just really bad snoring. That's not the case. So the trick is identifying what's causing your insomnia. And then where it gets tricky is if it's more on the mental side of things. So the first thing we have to do is identify if it's more of like a physical type of issue or more of a mental type of issue. And so the way we do that is we basically just have to kind of look at if it's more the quality of your sleep itself, or if it's more a problem with falling asleep or staying asleep. So if the quality of your sleep overall is low, or you just wake up over and over and over, so not like if you wake up you have a hard time going back to sleep, just like you just kind of keep waking up and passing back out over and over throughout the night, that would be more of a low quality sleep type issue. And that's going to mean that it's more of a physical type of issue that you're having with sleep, most likely. So if you struggle to fall asleep or struggle to fall back to sleep when you wake up, like you wake up too early and you can't fall back asleep, or it takes you a while to fall back asleep whenever you wake up, that's generally going to be more mental type issues. And it can be a combination of both, and it can be kind of hard to tell. So in any event, you kind of want to go down the list and just sort of go through the process of elimination and rule out the things that it isn't until you're left with the things that it might be, and then dig more into those. So if we're going to rule out things on the physical side, the best way to do that is, get any sleep book. For the most part, there's a lot of, medical doctors that specialize in sleep that have written books. You can go to a sleep expert as well. And, they can really help you identify those, or going through a book, it's more methodical and will help you identify those kind of things. And the thing is that there are usually mental issues, and that's kind of where I come in more, because that's what I had to figure out, and that's what took me, like a decade to figure out for improving my own sleep, is what mental tricks I was playing on myself that was making it impossible for me to get good quality sleep. So if you have a hard time falling asleep or going back to sleep, or think that maybe you just have something going on mentally that could be messing with your sleep, then that's something that you want to kind of go through what the mental issues could be as well, to get a better sense of if there's any of those that could be impacting things. And really, all sleep issues come down to fragmented sleep. So you're supposed to have these smooth sleep cycles, and when those get kind of chopped up and fragmented, it's low quality sleep. So that can be physical issues, but you want to focus on things on the mental side that could lead to sudden jumps in this brainwave speed, these slow cycles that are supposed to go on. So fragmented sleep basically has three telltale signs. It makes it so that you feel more awake when you try harder to go to sleep. It makes it so that you wake up frequently throughout the night, and it makes your sleep not deep and refreshing. And the good news is it's not caused by too many things on the mental side. And they're all essentially revolve around how important sleep is to you and what kind of anxiety you could have around sleep. And we'll get into why that is in a second. But for now, just to see if that could be a factor for you, look at the following questions. I'm going to go through a list of questions here, and just look at how many yes answers you get. You want to see if you get 2 or more yes answers, or even one strong yes answer could mean that this is something you want to look at some more. So let's go through the following questions. I'll pause in between these so you can have some time just to look and see if it might be a yes. So first question: do you get anxious about going to bed? Does going to bed give you anxiety? Okay. Does getting less sleep stress you out during the day? All right. Are you dependent on anything to help yourself sleep? So that could be like medication, having a new mattress, or if you use like incense or like a sleep mask, or 1,000 other things that you've come up with that you have that are like a perfect ritual that help you get sleep. Especially like if you have more than one thing, like if you have a really well-defined ritual, that would be a solid yes. Okay, so next question: does being tired have a significant impact on your work, school, relationships, social life, or other areas of your life? So does being tired have an impact on your life? So next question: do you suffer from anxiety, depression, pain, exhaustion, diminished focus, laziness, or anything else that's really bothering you because of lost sleep? So anything really bothering you because of lost sleep. Okay. Does the fact that you aren't getting sleep come up over and over and over again throughout the day? And are you feeling defeated or suppressed because of insomnia? Okay, and last question here. Are you growing concerned about the impact a lack of sleep is having on your health or well-being? So obviously, if you had no yes answers, it's probably going to be more on the physical side of things. And your sleep's probably still fragmented, but it's probably not because of the mental side so much. But even if you had one strong yes answer there, that means that learning more about how sleep works from a mental side of things and what mental sleep issues could be at play, that will help you improve the quality of your sleep. And the reason that is just because, scientifically speaking, easy, refreshing sleep only happens when your brain slows down. So when your brain speeds up, it prevents deep sleep. Learning how to create like a slower, smoother kind of sleep cycle, or basically slower brain activity, slower brain waves, is going to naturally improve the quality of your sleep no matter what the condition is. And we're going to go ahead and pause again for the plane. Okay, lots of planes here. All right, so no matter what goes on, if you improve the like slow brainwave speed at night, it's going to improve your sleep cycles. It's going to mean a better sleep, and learning the mental side of things can help you do that. And so if you look at it, you're probably kind of keeping yourself awake or keeping the quality of your sleep a little bit interrupted at night, and you probably don't even know how you're doing that. So if you attempt to fall asleep and you feel more and more awake the harder you try, that's a telltale sign that there's mental issues at play. Basically, fragmented sleep will happen when your mind speeds up at night. It's that increased brainwave speed that causes damage to your sleep. And if you look at the way good sleepers sleep, their brainwave sleep is very smooth throughout the night. So there's only slight variations. So if you're thinking of like an analogy, I always make the one with bodies of water. So their brainwave speed, its variations are like, waves on a calm lake. Whereas with an insomniac, there's sudden, large variations that happen all night long, like giant ocean waves during a storm. So it's these large variations in brainwave cycles that cause fragmented sleep. And this fragmentation causes you to wake up. But even if you don't wake up, the result is poor quality sleep. So that's why sometimes you're exhausted after even getting 8 hours of sleep. It's like, I got 8 hours, but I feel tired all day long. It's just because you didn't have smooth sleep cycles. You didn't sleep deeply, and it wasn't quality sleep. So if you have a problem falling asleep, it's going to be in the area of brainwave activity being too speedy, and that essentially prevents quality sleep from happening in the first place. And even if you finally do fall asleep, they're going to happen all night long as well. So we want to get to the source of these large variations, and we've already kind of hinted at it's in the area of how important is sleep and how much anxiety do you have around sleep. The reason for that is there's sort of a fight or flight response going on. So if you answered yes to any of the previous questions, your unconscious mind is kind of automatically preparing for action when it comes to sleep. So in other words, it's aware of how important getting sleep is, and like anything else that's important, it speeds up your brainwaves. Because if you think about anything you do during the day where it's like an important meeting or important task at hand, you're going to get more focused. Your brain's going to kind of speed up to help you deal with the problem. So it does kind of the same thing with sleep, but the problem is that's going to make your sleep light. In many cases, it's even going to make you feel wide awake no matter how exhausted you feel. So if you've ever had that feeling of being in bed, just feeling literally wired, even though you're completely wiped out. So that importance that you've associated with sleep, which good sleepers don't have or need, speeds up your brainwaves all night long. And to identify the causes of your insomnia, you just have to look at where sleep has become overly important. So to get a better sense of this, I've made a video that does a really good job, and it's called The Downward Spiral of Insomnia. I think that video is actually Cannot Sleep, ? The Downward Spiral of Insomnia. And once you've identified what's creating the unconscious things that are causing sleep to be overly important, you can start to get to work on them. And so the problem is you're in a weird kind of catch-22 where to slow your brainwaves down and break the spiral, you have to stop seeing sleep as so important. But it's the weird thing about that is it's not really possible to see sleep as not important, because sleep is important. And if you were to try to pretend like it wasn't, that would be kind of tricking yourself. That's not something that's going to work. So what is possible is to make sleep far less important. Making sleep less important is very possible, and it kind of frees you. It works, and it gets better and better with time. And making sleep less important is really just about figuring out what are the thoughts, the feelings, the beliefs you have that make sleep excessively important. So the key word there is excessive. So all insomniacs have many thoughts about sleep and make it extremely important, whether they notice those thoughts or not. And that's totally normal, and you shouldn't ever feel bad about valid thoughts. The problem is that these thoughts simply become irrationally immoderate. They go too far. So there's some truth to each thought emotion, and the key is to determine what's valid, what goes too far, and what's just plain wrong or misguided. So for an example here, if you take a thought like, I can't have a good day tomorrow if I don't sleep, well, that's not wrong, but it's not really right either. So on one hand, not sleeping does make the next day a lot harder. But on the other hand, you can still also have a good day tomorrow. Just think about any time you were exhausted, but you had a great day. So that's sort of the process. When you catch thoughts like that one, you're making sleep less important. And your brain's full of these thoughts that irrationally make sleep much more important than it should be. And there's a process to listening in and moderating, figuring out what thoughts are tied to beliefs and how you can look at reframing those beliefs and kind of changing the whole game for yourself. And look, it's as far as like, is that far-fetched? Well, if you can make sleep even half as important as it is right now, so if you only got half of them or only got like, a good impact of it, you'd probably sleep twice as fast with double the quality, and sleeping pills and other remedies would actually do their job. So to learn more about how to do that, I recommend watching my video on either the one I mentioned before, or I have another one coming out, Mental Ways to Help Sleep. So that's going to be called Mental Ways to Help Sleep. Should be on my channel probably by the time you're watching this. And I'm going to run through a variety of the most common ways that people create fragmented sleep, along with solutions you can start implementing to start changing these things right away. Also, if you have a problem falling asleep or falling back to sleep, that's the biggest thing, is just falling asleep in the first place. You should definitely check out my Best Cure for Insomnia. It's one of the, I think it's like the 4th video on my channel or something like that. And that video goes through an approach that's specifically designed so that you can approach falling asleep in a fundamentally different way that actually makes it happen. So it's not like any other trick you've ever looked at. It's fundamentally different. It has to do with, why do you fall asleep when you're like reading a book or doing something where you're trying to stay awake but you just can't like keep your eyes open, but you really do want to stay awake. It's like, what's going on there that makes you fall asleep versus when you do try to fall asleep, why do you feel more awake? And so, I recommend that because it gets rid of the pressure, disregards the result, and puts you at total ease. And so that's the my Best Cure for Insomnia video. And thanks for watching this. And as always, if you like this video, please help me out with a like and go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell, and you'll get a steady supply of free, high quality sleep advice.